What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Aljamain Sterling went off on the UFC's decision to book a rematch between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes, calling it a complete disregard for merit and the established contenders in the division. Sterling, coming off a dominant win over Brian Ortega, criticized the promotion for prioritizing hype and popularity over legitimate accomplishments. He argued that the UFC became the #1 organization because it always focused on matching the best against the best, but now it feels more like a popularity contest than a true competitive meritocracy. Sterling made it clear his frustration isn't only about himself. He believes the matchup simply makes no sense when several contenders have earned their place through consistent performances. Meanwhile, Diego Lopes didn't hold back either. He fired back at critics on social media, saying that complaining online is exactly why some fighters aren't getting title shots. Lopes emphasized how active he has been, how often he is willing to take risks, and contrasted that with Movsar Evloev's long inactivity and Lauren Murphy's slower pace. In Lopes' view, momentum matters, and right now he has it. Ironically, just a few months ago in September, Lopes himself said that Murphy deserved the next title shot against Volkanovski. Now he is the one stepping into that very spot, which has caused the entire division to erupt into debate. Sterling also questioned the UFC's long-term goals, suggesting the promotion may be trying to build a champion who can represent Mexico and Brazil. His main frustration is the lack of clear criteria. He reflected on his own journey, explaining that when he entered the sport at 24, merit meant something. Today, at 36, he feels that being the most popular fighter can matter more than being the most deserving. In his words, if someone is popular and can fight just a little bit, the UFC will push them into big opportunities, especially if they've had a few favorable matchups to create highlight wins. He understands the business strategy behind this, but as an athlete, he believes the sport loses integrity when merit is sidelined. For him, this situation wasn't even a close call. The original fight was a clear one-sided masterclass, making the rematch even harder to justify. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for latest MMA updates. Move on to another news. A major update has surfaced regarding the UFC's highly anticipated White House event. Mike Bohn recently appeared on Josh Thompson's podcast and revealed intriguing early details about what the promotion might be planning. According to Bohn, the UFC is considering a very small ultra-premium card, possibly only 5 or 6 total fights. The idea is to make every matchup feel massive with no filler bouts at all. He even mentioned the possibility of Ilia Topuria appearing on the card, noting that the featherweight champion is targeting a return around mid-2026, though nothing is confirmed. The lightweight division has also been in the spotlight following the official announcement of Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. Shortly after the news broke, Gaethje reacted on Instagram, showing full focus and zero hesitation. Despite critics arguing that Pimblett didn't earn the opportunity, Gaethje called him the perfect dance partner. He said the timing, the spotlight, and the launch of the new UFC Paramount era create the ideal moment to remind fans why he remains one of the most violent and entertaining fighters of this generation. While fans agree the fight is a guaranteed thriller, many are frustrated that merit appears to be fading, and that Arman Tsarukyan may be forced to sit out an entire year waiting for a title shot. Behind the scenes, the UFC is still pushing to make Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler the main event for the White House card. However, with uncertainty surrounding McGregor's availability, Bones said the promotion could easily call John Jones as a backup option. Even so, the event is unlikely to feature multiple championship fights. If McGregor can headline against Chandler, supported by a few high-profile matchups, possibly including Kayla Harrison, the UFC will consider that a major success. Bone emphasized that the card will be built around ROI, return on investment. McGregor, he explained, sells the same seats and drives the same global attention that John Jones or any other star would. That makes him the ideal centerpiece. He also noted that Kayla Harrison is almost certainly going to be included on the card, given her rising star power and the UFC's long-term plans for her. Ultimately, the White House event is shaping up to be a highly exclusive showcase where every fight carries significant weight. Move on to another news. Reports from multiple Russian outlets suggest that Dana White is going all in on an unprecedented effort to bring Khabib Nurmagomedov out of retirement for a historic return at the UFC's upcoming White House event. The numbers circulating are staggering. According to these reports, a group of powerful Saudi businessmen are prepared to financially back the UFC and fund Khabib's return purse, an amount said to be a jaw-dropping $100 for a single fight. No athlete in UFC history has earned anything close to that figure, making this offer not just record-breaking, but potentially career-defining. Adding to the spectacle, US President Donald Trump Trump is reportedly fully supportive of the idea, publicly recognizing Khabib as the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, despite his long retirement. With the White House event already positioned as one of the biggest UFC projects ever attempted, the possibility of Khabib participating would elevate it to a once-in-a-generation moment. Reports also mention that Saudi involvement may include influential figures who have worked with the UFC before, though it remains unclear whether Dana White's new partner, Turki Al-Sheikh, is directly tied to this specific offer. What is clear is that the financial backing behind this proposal is massive, and the UFC is leveraging every possible avenue to make it happen. Khabib, however, has consistently declined all comeback offers over the years. Dana White has attempted multiple times to lure him back, only to be met with firm refusals. But with this extraordinary $100 million offer on the table, the UFC president is likely hoping that this might finally be the one deal capable of convincing him to return. President Trump even went as far as publicly calling for Khabib to face the new champion, a comment that raises several questions. Who exactly would that champion be? Would the fight take place at lightweight, or would the UFC consider a different weight class for such a monumental event? As of now, no official negotiations or confirmations have been released. What remains certain is that the UFC is preparing something unlike anything the sport has ever seen. A Khabib comeback, especially under these circumstances, would be one of the biggest spectacles in mixed martial arts history. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett has officially responded to the announcement of his fight with Justin Gaethje, and he has done it with absolute confidence. In a new UFC Europe promo, Paddy said that the moment he defeats Gaethje, critics will immediately shift the narrative, claiming Gaethje was old, declining, or no longer at his peak. He then laid out his full roadmap for 2026, making it clear he plans to climb the lightweight division in the most aggressive way possible. His first target is the interim title in January, where he intends to beat Gaethje and claim his first UFC belt. After that, he wants to unify the championship by facing Ilia Topuria in the middle of next year. And once he gets through Topuria, Paddy says Arman Tsarukyan is next, promising that Arman will receive the same treatment. In a single promo, Paddy called out Justin, Ilia, and Arman, three of the most dangerous fighters in the division, leaning fully into the chaos and the spot. Fans are mixed. Many love the confidence, entertainment, and trash talk that Paddy brings, calling it one of the most exciting storylines of the year. But the backlash is massive as well. Fighters like Aljamain Sterling have publicly criticized the booking, saying Paddy hasn't earned an interim title fight, and even encouraging fans to boycott the event. The debate has only grown louder since the promo went viral. Paddy, however, isn't bothered. He says 2026 will be the biggest year of his life. He also talked about how unusual it is for him to fight in January, joking that it will ruin his Christmas dinner and his 31st birthday, which falls just a few weeks before the event. But he insists the sacrifice will be worth it when he lifts a world title above his head for the first time. He doubled down on his goals, saying he's coming for the interim belt in January, then plans to turn it into the undisputed title by defeating Ilia Topuria. After that, he says he'll deal with Little Posh Boy, referring to Arman Tsarukyan, accusing him of sitting out and complaining about injuries. If Arman manages to stay active and maintain his ranking, Paddy promised he would punch his head in as well. Whether fans believe him or not, Paddy Pimblett has made one thing clear. He's aiming for the top, and he intends to take on every major contender in the division to get there. Move on to another news. Justin Gaethje couldn't be happier after securing exactly what he has been pushing for: an interim title fight at UFC 325. With the matchup against Paddy Pimblett now official, Gaethje made his excitement clear the moment the news broke. Shortly after the announcement, he took to social media to share his reaction and express how much the moment means to him. Gaethje said he is grateful for the opportunity, especially as the UFC enters its new partnership with Paramount+, a move that is expected to elevate the sport even further. He called the upcoming fight the perfect way to kick off this new era, describing Paddy Pimblett as the ideal dance partner for a massive event. According to Gaethje, this matchup is tailor-made for delivering another unforgettable night, the kind that fans expect whenever he steps into the cage. In his message, Gaethje reaffirmed what he has built his entire career on: being one of the most thrilling, dangerous, and must-watch fighters of his generation. He said he's ready to remind the world of exactly who he is and what he brings every time the cage door closes. The interim title shot represents not only a chance to add another significant chapter to his legacy, but also an opportunity to perform on one of the biggest platforms the UFC has ever created. Gaethje closed his post with a simple promise: he will be ready. Ready for the spotlight, ready for the pressure, and ready for a showdown that he believes will once again prove why he stands among the most exciting fighters of this era. With UFC 325 approaching, fans now eagerly wait to see whether Gaethje can deliver yet another classic performance, this time with championship implications on the line. Move on to another news. TJ Dillashaw has stirred the conversation once again, this time by claiming that Ilia Topuria is running from a potential fight with Arman Tsarukyan. During the latest episode of the Jackson podcast, Dillashaw discussed the growing rumors surrounding Topuria's interest in moving up to welterweight for a potential super fight against Islam Makhachev. According to Dillashaw, that scenario is highly unlikely, and he believes the real reason behind it has more to do with avoiding Arman Tsarukyan than chasing a bigger challenge. Dillashaw expressed strong doubt that the UFC would push Topuria into a fight at 170 pounds, especially considering how stacked and competitive the welterweight division already is. He acknowledged Topuria's incredible skill, even calling him the most technically gifted fighter currently in the UFC. However, he emphasized that the matchup with Tsarukyan presents a uniquely difficult challenge, and that's exactly why he believes Topuria is hesitant. When asked directly whether Topuria is trying to avoid Tsarukyan, Dillashaw didn't hesitate. He said yes. He joked that anyone would want to avoid Arman, describing him as a powerful, well-rounded, and extremely dangerous lightweight. Dillashaw highlighted Tsarukyan's size, strength, clean boxing, and elite grappling, calling him one of the toughest stylistic matchups in the division. He even admitted that he would run from Arman himself, saying that just watching him perform is enough to make anyone nervous. Despite praising Topuria as possibly the most skilled fighter in the entire UFC, Dillashaw insisted that Arman poses a serious threat to him. He argued that moving to 170 makes no sense for Topuria right now, especially when the welterweight division is full of contenders, and when a fight with Makhachev isn't guaranteed to go his way. Instead, Dillashaw believes the only matchup that truly fits Topuria at this point in his career is Arman Tsarukyan. In his view, any attempts by Topuria to move up in weight are simply a way to delay or avoid a fight with the one lightweight who can truly challenge him. For Dillashaw, the answer is clear. The fight that needs to happen next is Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. Move on to another news. Alexander Volkanovski has made it clear that he disagrees with Diego Lopes receiving another title shot. Reacting to Dana White's recent wave of UFC announcements, the featherweight champion expressed frustration over what he believes is an unfair decision. The controversy began when White revealed that Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett would headline UFC 324 for the interim lightweight title, a move that already upset top contender Arman Tsarukyan. But the debate didn't stop there. White also confirmed a rematch between Volkanovski and Lopes for UFC 325 in Sydney, choosing to grant the Mexican contender a second chance over fighters like Lerone Murphy and Movsar Evloev, both of whom have been on impressive runs. Speaking on his latest YouTube video, Volkanovski said he feels Murphy and Evloev are far more deserving of a title opportunity. He explained that the decision-making process behind the matchup was lengthy and somewhat confusing. Volkanovski revealed that he originally wanted to fight earlier, ideally in December, and expected the UFC to move forward with Lerone Murphy for that timeline. However, the promotion appeared to be waiting for developments involving João Silva and Lopes. When the UFC shifted focus toward a Lopez rematch, Volkanovski admitted that he and his team were surprised, considering that he had just fought Lopes not long ago. Despite questioning whether Lopes is the most deserving challenger, Volkanovski emphasized that he has never been selective about opponents. He reiterated that he will fight anyone the UFC puts in front of him, and that his priority is staying active. He still believes Murphy and Evloev earned the right to fight for the belt, as they were the two contenders he had publicly called out. But ultimately, the UFC strongly favored the Lopez rematch. Volkanovski acknowledged that, while Murphy and Evloev may be technically more deserving, the UFC is likely prioritizing excitement and fan appeal. In his view, Lopez brings an unpredictable, action-filled style that guarantees an entertaining fight. Although the decision wasn't his preferred outcome, Volkanovski assured fans that his rematch with Lopes will deliver intensity, pace, and the kind of championship performance they expect from him. Move on to another news. Aljamain Sterling is once again voicing his frustration over Diego Lopes being granted another title shot. questioning why the UFC continues to overlook contenders he believes are far more deserving. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Sterling expressed confusion and disappointment about the criteria being used to select title challengers, calling the decision inconsistent with the merit-based system he grew up believing in. Sterling explained that he is trying to make sense of the UFC's reasoning. He acknowledged that the promotion may be aiming to elevate a champion who can represent both Mexico and Brazil, a move that could boost viewership and marketability. But for him, the issue is about fairness and clarity. He emphasized that fighters deserve to know the standard by which title shots are awarded. According to Sterling, the sport used to operate on a simple principle: the best fight the best. Reflecting on his career, Sterling noted that he entered the UFC at 24 years old with the belief that merit and performance determined success. Now, 36, he feels that the landscape has changed dramatically. In his view, popularity has begun to overshadow skill, discipline, and accomplishments inside the Octagon. Sterling argued that the UFC increasingly prioritizes fighters who draw attention or generate hype, even if they had not defeated the level of competition typically required for a championship opportunity. He criticized the idea that being the popular guy is now a stronger qualification than having actually earned the spot. According to Sterling, fighters who are marketable and have a couple of impressive highlight wins are often pushed ahead of those who have consistently battled top-tier opponents. He believes this shift undermines the sport's integrity and discourages fighters who work their way up the rankings expecting a fair chance. Sterling further questioned how fighters are supposed to eat what they kill, a long-standing phrase in combat sports that emphasizes earning opportunities through performance if the UFC doesn't give them the chance to face top contenders. He argued that without equal access to meaningful matchups, fighters who have put in years of work are left without a pathway to advance.